minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rockets Radios. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Let's see what we got in here. Good morning to Pepe. I see Chris is in there. Bob Stone, thank you for joining. What a weekend. How's my audio in there, guys? Looking like it's fine on my end. Right. Not a whole lot to talk about. More. Thank you, Bob. More just kind of eye openers with the Typhoon that had passed. So for those that don't know, we had a Category 5 Typhoon brush up against Guam. We did all right, but it definitely identified a few large deficiencies in my comms plan. And, you know, so in hindsight, we need to do better. You know, we didn't take a direct hit, but we were looking at, you know, peaking 135 mile an hour winds. And it did some damage. It definitely did some damage. So, looking at it, before we get into that, I just want to, you know, do some housekeeping here. Take a look at what we got. Go through some news briefly. And let's see what goes. So if you didn't see it, I've pinned my FM satellite table in the chat. So if you look, we'll go to screen share. So I haven't updated it this month yet, but we're getting there. Notable things, you know, QMR Kuwait 2 was active a few days ago. And the bird sounds great. I got 4 contacts on it. Well, let me back up. It didn't sound great. It in fact, I don't have the recording, but I will I'll get that for next weekend. So it was almost like the telemetry was trying to break through the voice repeater. So be on, off, and then about midway through the pass, 3/4 of the way through the pass, the repeater finally opened up. And now I don't know if that's something being controlled by the ground or what have you. But it was, like I said, it's off, on. Even in the downlink, hearing myself, it would get a piece of it shut off, piece of it shut off. It was bizarre. But once the voice repeater actually turned on, it sounded fantastic. It sounded almost as good as IO86. I know a lot of you guys in the States are unable to, well, most of you guys in the States are unable to work IO86. If you ever do go on vacation closer to the equator, I implore you to work it. It's the best sounding bird. I have a few videos of the IO86 passes. And then right before the storm, I was up on the roof working IO86, and by closer to the end of the pass, so usually IO86 turns on for Indonesia, the voice repeater turns on for Indonesia, and then works its way across, because it's an Indonesian satellite and they're ground controlling it, and it will shut off usually about mid pass for me. As it goes by, but they actually have been leaving it on a little longer because they know I work it fairly regularly. And by the end of the pass, it ended up just a couple of us having just a conversation on the bird between myself and Indonesian station and VK4 Alpha Echo X-Ray, and we were just kind of shooting the breeze by the end of the pass. Nobody else was on it except for us three, and we were just talking and shooting the shit. So it was fun. It was one of the more fun passes I've had. Usually it's just like, grid, signal report, and then kind of move on from there. But it was a nice change of pace rather than the go go go. I mean, there's always a pile up. Everybody in Indonesia trying to work Guam and get my grid square. So it was fun. It was a little bit of a change of pace. So one thing I did want to point out, if for those who have worked the QMR Kuwait 2 satellite, here's what I got for. So when I went to log the contacts in QRZ, they didn't have the satellite in the drop down. So I wrote here QMR Kuwait 2 RS95S is not under the satellite drop down, and I need to log 4 QSOs. The response here was currently there is no standard consensus on the correct satellite name and ID, and Logbook of the World does not support the satellite. You can add freeform text, but it won't reflect that in Logbook of the World. Please be aware that since Logbook of the World does not yet support the satellite, exports of these QSOs to Logbook of the World will fail. Well, it's strange. So in the drop down on QRZ, it basically gives the not the NORAD ID, but the name of the satellite. So SO125 or RS95S, whatever the case may be, in parentheses, and then it gives the title of the satellite. I think the issue here is it's a Kuwait developed satellite with help from Russia, which is why it has an RS identifier, and they can't decide on what they want to put in QRZ and Logbook of the World. So I think that's the issue. I mean, it's been up in orbit for like 2 months, so you'd think that they would have sorted this issue out before then, but they haven't. So now we just thank you. Here, let me fix this here, Pepe. Audio capture. How's that? Sound all right? And go here, audio capture. So, as it sits right now, Pepe, I'm using this guy. I do have a microphone, but I'm waiting for the cord. So, we'll get there. Little kinks and everything will work out. So yeah, I haven't heard any more news of when RS95S is going to be back up as far as turning on the voice repeater. I think that was kind of a test, and they're looking for feedback on how it sounded. So I did. Here, let me see here. So here we go. So this is what you get. The QMR Kuwait 2 EQSL request and reception report. Submit your reception contact report for QMR Kuwait 2 and receive your official EQSL certificate. So you go in here, you type in your call sign, name, address, country, city, grid locator, type of reception, and date of reception, antenna type, signal strength, signal quality. Then you upload evidence to support your contacts. So in my case, I used my Sony recorder audio file, had to clip it down because it's only 10 megabytes per file. And then you can give the option to let them publicly share it. And this was for the April 12th FM repeater activation. And did you successfully complete a two-way contact? And I selected yes. So we had 4. 3 Japanese and 1 Chinese station. So it was all right. I think they're looking for more updates to how they can work through the transponder and make sure it's working fine. But it was okay. So that is news on QMR. Then let's see, what other news did I have for you guys? So we went over FM satellite sheet. Let me go back here, finish this up. SSTV, there's a lot going on. UMCA 1's still active for another hour. If you have a pass, you can get those. I do believe ISS may have finished their Series 31, but I haven't followed up. Obviously, I've been pretty busy with the storm. SSDV, Silversat has been active, so keep an eye on that. And then, of course, upcoming, not much change here. Disco 2 was added on the 31st. Still waiting for these to hop on. They're still, the Momiji satellites are still slotted for the June rideshare with SpaceX, so keep an eye on those. So that's that. So we covered that. One thing I did want to go through, and as far as satellite news is concerned, so check this out. Space Locker launches out-of-the-box CubeSat carrying 5 client payloads. So Space Locker is essentially a CubeSat vehicle that they launched. So it had five different CubeSats on it, 5 different payloads. So it's a 16U CubeSat carrying payloads from 5 European customers. The approach enables organizations to access space without the need to build and launch their own dedicated satellites. Traditionally, deploying technology in orbit involves designing or procuring full satellite systems, a process that is costly, time-consuming, and inflexible. Space Locker's platform-based model allows customers to develop payloads independently and integrate them into standardized containers, using it as universal port. So it's much like SpaceX's rideshare. In this instance, it's a 16U that deploys the satellites separately from the vehicle. So once this deployment system is deployed, then it deploys the payloads. So pretty neat. So the reason why I bring this one up, because it has relevance to us as satellite guys and gals. Where did we go? Trying to see where. Is it this one? Okay, so here it is. It's my pleasure to announce the FOSSUM 1, designed by a non-profit organization, Federation Open Space Makers. This ham radio space station payload, it's already up there. Payload, it's got a camera, VHF, UHF antennas, a WASM engine, open source, and so it can make it reconfigurable. So it's got a amateur radio payload on it. The cool thing about this satellite is it's for digital experiments. So playing with different digital modes, it will support 2K4, 2FSK, 9K6, 2FSK, 4K8. So it's pretty neat. The satellite is reconfigurable from ground, and it's basically an amateur radio operator's kind of playground to experiment and try different things with that satellite. It's already in SatNogs. So again, it's got the Spino radio board and a WASM engine, so as to make it reconfigurable. So it's pretty cool. It's got a bunch of different protocols. It's able to do a bunch of different things up there, and we'll see what goes with it. So pretty interesting. Just quickly, I know again this isn't relevant to a lot of people in here. This is PR TechSat. This is the IO86 information for the passes over the weekend. It's usually active during the weekend. Most of the week it's not very many voice repeater, but this weekend is jam-packed with various voice repeater activations. One thing to note is that they are continually doing voice repeater for Brazil. And then of course you get the World Amateur Radio Day, things like that. I have been talking with the folks in Indonesia. They're gonna start doing a specific Guam or Marianas Islands pass where they open up the voice repeater for us, so all the Indonesian folks can work on that specific pass for Guam. So it's pretty neat. Hey, good morning, Andy. So very interesting. It's a very small community, and it's very tight knit. So it's pretty neat to be able to reach out to somebody down in Indonesia, and they have contacts within the folks that run the satellite, and have them kind of slot in our own time for the voice repeater to be active. They're very they pay very close attention to the satellite. The cool thing about it, which is crazy, it's been up there since 2015, so it's been up there a very long time, and the fact that it sounds fantastic is good. As a note for you satellite folks, where is it? So as everybody knows, as I talked about last weekend, SO-125 is on its last legs. It's going to be deorbiting here soon. I've been getting reports that it is starting to sound a lot like AO-91, the Fox 1B satellite. Let me see. So it's not sounding great. Be it as it may, it's still up there. It's still working. Where are we at? SO-125. So we're still getting plenty of just great reports. But there are reports starting to come in that saying that it isn't sounding great. And it's, these Hades satellites are not designed to be up there a very long time. They've got about a year lifespan, and then they deorbit, and then their mission's completed. So just bear that in mind. Another cool thing to note on this AMSAT live satellite status page is that Hades SA Spinny one is already up there. Little bit of reports here and there, but nothing of note for us yet. So keep an eye on that. I know Robert had talked a few weeks back about the CatSat. Keep an eye out on that one. And then Tenco, that's linear. So just keep an eye out on these things. There's a good handful of birds on this already, and they're doing their diagnostics while it's in orbit, making sure the birds are working fine, and then I'm sure they'll turn them on. SO-50's always working well, so that's it. If you guys are just getting started in working birds, the two that I always suggest are the ISS and SO50. And for your Doppler shift, you can always go to my FM satellite page and look to see what you program in for your radios, and then get you guys on the birds. The ARRL has restocked their handheld Yagis. So if you guys are looking for the handheld Yagis, I would grab one while you can. It's the most inexpensive one that you can get, and it works well. A guy in the club here has one, and it works well. It comes with a diplexer already in it, so it doesn't have the greatest protection, but here it is here. Kind of an open diplexer design. But yeah, if you guys can get this, pick it up. It's a short way to get into working birds, and it's well worth the money. It's only $100, as opposed to the elk or the arrow. So just get in there, start working birds, give it a go. I don't think I've found any one person that has worked a satellite and not been excited about making that first contact on there. It's well worth the money, well worth your time, even if you're just getting the Yagi and listening to SSTV. I'll just sit there with my phone. There's an app. It's called CHsT for iOS. Yeah, and then you just put it next to your radio and decode as you go, and you can adjust the skew and the phase. It's pretty cool. Very easy to use, and it just gets your foot in the door to start using the satellites. The more the merrier is what I say, and it's well worth the time. So let's start talking about the storm. So Typhoon Sinlaku came in. Again, we got brushed by it. Picked up about 135 mile an hour winds. We did all right. I lost a tree. My greenhouse yard was a mess. I took care of most of that yesterday. But as I said before, it identified a lot of deficiencies in the comms plan, which I'm not too happy about, but be it as it may. So I believe it was Monday when the wind started picking up, the repeater dropped, our main repeater, which is sitting central in the island. We had to run up there and get it online before we already had switched it over to generator power. What we ended up identifying was the brand new ups that we put on it when we replaced the repeater antenna was bad. But also another note in there was the ground to both plugs, or one on each. The ground socket for the plugs were both bad, so we have to replace those outlets. And then after the storm, we checked it and had a little bit of leaking into the building, but it's a concrete structure, so it's pretty resilient. So that'll be some work to get out there and do that. So the repeater lasted throughout the entirety of the storm. The storm slowed down kind of right above us, or Saipan, and it just took its time. It was just churning everything up and beating up the islands. Repeater antenna did fine. I left both my 2-meter antennas up for science. Based off of the wind load rating, it was 100 and something mile an hour winds that it was rated for. So there's my X200 Alpha. So the antenna would have been fine. So what I have here is this concrete base, which is about 60 pounds, and then I put a 25-pound Olympic weight on top of it. The antenna didn't break because of the wind. It broke because one of the guy wires that I had snapped, or guy string. I was using a paracord, and I got it this way and that way. The wind was coming from the west, so it blew over and actually snapped the antenna when it hit the roof, but not from the actual wind itself. And here's my Comet GP1 standing strong, and that did all right. So that's what I switched over to for now. The APR Digipeater iGate is down because I'm using that antenna currently. So there was that. As far as comms, I ended up running throughout the storm. I mean, obviously we lost power. A lot of people lost water. Most people were still out of power until yesterday, and some people are still out of power. And they project 5 to 10 days to do a full restoration. Bob, that's funny. Too funny. I gotta figure out how my pop chat stuff needs to stop getting cut off. What was I saying? So I started doing every 3 hours. I was doing Typhoon net. Got that going. So we lost power. I was running off of my battery backup, which is only a 500. So it's a Goal Zero 500. And that would last about, 12 to 16 hours, something like that. So I ended up breaking out the DeWalt generator, a very quiet generator. Let's see here. Which sips fuel, and it's very, very quiet. Here it is. So this is what I was using right here, this guy. Very, very, very quiet. I had it right outside the window. And I essentially used it to charge things and run a fan. It was just miserable and hot. So really putting this generator to the test, I was running the entire ham shack and the fish tank because they needed bubbles, and charging the main power bank, the battery backup. So it did well. So we were doing Typhoon net every 3 hours, checking on people, making sure that they didn't have any issues, making sure they didn't have any water intrusion, making sure their supplies were good, and things like that. After the storm, and we moved over to Core 4, what was that? Not yesterday, but the day before. We moved over to Core 4 around noon. For those that don't know, T-Core, condition of readiness, 1 is during the typhoon, and then it slowly decreases after that. So Core 4, everything's back to normal. It's just recovery. Did plenty of nets. The cool thing was it's probably the most active the repeater's been. We had a bunch of Red Cross folks check in. We were checking with those guys. We had a few FEMA guys check in, and it just hams out of the woodwork. Transient folks just on island got stuck here. It was a good way to disseminate information and to make sure that if anybody had any emergencies or anything like that, somebody could respond. And that was my main focus, was making sure if something did happen, I was able to get in the truck and respond. For those that don't know, I built my truck specifically for typhoons. And I got into ham radio because of Typhoon Marwar in 2023. And that was kind of an eye-opener, saying, hey, need to do something, because cell phones were knocked out. Cell phones this time were knocked out, just not as bad. So radio was really the only way to get a hold of people. And it worked out well. It seemed to work well. So as a point, one thing we had noticed was our default, if the repeater goes down, we were switching over to 14652. Well, 14652 wasn't working as great as we'd hoped. So we ended up switching over to the 70 centimeter calling frequency of 446000, which seemed to work well. I could get out both north and south with no issues. So that was kind of a midstream change. So we'll be using 446000 if the repeater ever does go down. So we did that, and then once we were into Core 4, we ended up switching to I started the post Typhoon net, so not so much emergency response type of thing, communications. It was kind of, here's where we're at. This is where people are at with their power, water, cell phone service, supplies. So not so much a hurriedly emergency net type of thing. More so just checking on people, getting power updates, water updates, cell phone service updates, and kind of recovery stuff. So that was working well. I think we're still at about 27% of the island doesn't have water, and I don't know the percentage of. I'm sorry, 27% of people don't have power, and I don't know the percentage of water, but still monitoring 24 hours a day, just not doing the post-typhoon nets. It's kind of cooled down since then. So one thing to note, I still haven't heard from any CHsT stations. Saipan is CHsT. My HF antenna is still down. I haven't put it back up. The amount of folks that have reached out and were looking for information and contact, it was astounding. I mean, the emails that I've received, whether it be from Red Cross, kidney centers, dialysis centers, looking for information and things like that. It was a lot, and I was doing my best to respond. But the problem is I don't have any information on Saipan itself. So prior to this storm, we were talking about. So back in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, there was this thing called the Inner Island Net. And then it was immediately followed by the Island Maritime Net. So we were talking about restarting that on 7.095, but we hadn't really lifted it off the ground yet because we hadn't talked to the Saipan operators to see what they wanted to do. It would have been good to implement that net and then kind of kick off a Typhoon net if we needed to. In this instance, to get that set. So that's something we're going to be starting. I need to get in contact with the Saipanese and Yappies and Rhoda, Tinian, get all those guys on board and start opening up that HF net. Another deficiency identified is we don't have a WinLink, gateway here. I've gotten a lot of requests for WinLink. And that was another thing we had been pushing off for a while, setting up. So kind of looking at it, it's motivation to say, hey, I know it's too little too late now, but moving forward, that sure isn't going to be the last typhoon we get. So we have to start kicking it up a notch and getting this infrastructure in place. So getting WinLink gateway set up, getting the Inner Island nets set up again and installed, and start working that. And then one other deficiency as far as local traffic is concerned, we don't have contact with the south. We have a repeater in the central, Then we have Nimitz Hill, which is right by my house, and then it creates a black hole to the south. So the solution I had was getting a drop repeater. I know Redivis makes those, what do they call the UHF drop repeaters. And let's see here. I know they're customizable. Let's see, where is it? Bob, I'm going to get to that. Rodney, you out of here? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it, buddy. So, this is my solution. Various different setups. So, right here is what I'm looking at. The Redivis RT97L. Essentially, you customize the frequency, set it, and forget it. And it seems like a good option. I could run it up Nimitz Hill and drop it and get it set, and at least get contact with the people down south. I think it's a good option. It's fairly inexpensive. You can set it as analog or DMR, and of course they have different package options. But I think it's a good idea for us to, as a club, to get this, at the very least, to have contact with the people down south. It seems like a good idea. There we go. So that's one of the things we had thought about. So Bob, in regards to your question. So here's the mesh map. Now I'm still new to CHsT and all that stuff. One thing I didn't really think about during the Typhoon, or even just about till post Typhoon, and basically when we went to Core 4, is hopping on CHsT. So if you get all these different things, and now I don't know how this gets fed. Bricker, you may know. But we do have a bunch of nodes in the area, but it's not populating into here. So, at any rate, so again, one of those things that I didn't think about during the Typhoon was getting on CHsT. Prior to the storm, it was basically myself and Nicole and two other guys in the club that had them, but weren't very active on them. Turning it on post-storm, or not even turning it on, just getting into the app and looking at it, I found that there were a lot of... there was a decent amount of mesh nodes out and about. So identifying that was cool, and in hindsight, I wish I had thought about it prior to the storm. I do have a Seed Studios solar node that I'm going to put up on the tower, and I know that one of the guys in the couple of villages over from me has a solar node already. One guy up north has a solar node, and I don't think Nicole has a solar node, but it would have been huge. It would have been, especially the people that I were making contact with on CHsT, weren't nice. Thanks, 45. Thank you for stopping in. So the people that I did make contact with when I finally decided to pull out the CHsT was people that aren't licensed. Now, that's not to say, good on them. I mean, get in there and start working toward your amateur radio license. Throughout the whole storm ordeal, we have a WhatsApp chat for the club, and anybody can request to join through our website. And so we had gotten a bunch of different, probably about 10 requests to join the club's WhatsApp chat. And it was funny enough, the person that I did make contact with over the Meshtastic node was a guy that had requested to join because he has interest in becoming a ham radio operator. So he had joined, and then oddly enough, I had hopped on there. So let me see here. So I wanted to go through what I found. And keep in mind, I am not a Meshtastic professional by any means. I barely know what I'm doing. I know how to turn it on, look around, and I've gone about it the wrong way, and I've realized that. Not at any fault of my own, just kind of, ooh, shiny, I want that node, or, that type of thing. And listen to Meshtastic Dave. Listen to Meshtastic Dave. He knows what's good, what's not good. No, not that. There we go. All right. So these are fairly cool. This one's running Bruce right now, which is absolutely useless on this device. So going in here, let's go here. So these are all the nodes I was picking. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but there we go. So all the different nodes that I've found throughout I don't even know how to work this thing. The good thing about this device is the scrolly wheel. So this is the LilyGo T pager. I will say, if from my point of view, don't buy this. Don't buy this. Don't buy this. Don't buy this. The battery on this thing is absolutely horrendous, and it's fun. It's a fun thing to play around with if you have the option to keep it on charge. But I would not get this if you're going to rely on Meshtastic for anything during an emergency situation. Do not buy this. This is fun for everything else. Don't buy that. It's horrible. Now, with that being said, Robert Digital Rancher had dropped a link saying low mesh Rangers the Pocket Rangers were in stock. So I ordered one. And again, I'm not very big into Meshtastic. So I ordered this. I got it about 2.5 weeks ago. 2.5 weeks ago. I've never charged it since owning it. It's at 62%. It's been running for 2.5 weeks. 62%. It's crazy. I mean, this thing, and the range on it's fantastic. So if you guys are looking for a mesh device you can actually rely on, this is it. And again, I can't speak from too much experience except for my own, but get this. Get this, get this, get this. I can't tell you enough. I mean, the thing is fantastic. The range is good. So here it is at shop.lowmesh.com. And here it is here. You got it in yellow. It's out of stock on blue. It's out of stock on FD brown, which is what I have. If you are looking for something you can rely on and know that the battery will last, get this Pocket Ranger. In fact, I'm going to just do this. Get the Pocket Ranger. Now, don't get me wrong. The T pager is okay. I use the launcher to launch everything. But as far as the pager goes, there's not a lot of support as far as different apps go. So just be aware there. So what else? No. So if you guys are looking for a radio that's great for Typhoon, the VX6. I use the ZBM2 antennas. The tough weather whip. I was up on top of my roof with this, getting it completely soaked, and it worked out fantastic. I do have an FT5D, and I got that specifically for APRS. But I wouldn't trust it out in the weather, not by a long shot. The cool thing about the VX6 is it's tri-band. Now we're in IT region 3, which means we cannot use 220. But since a lot of you guys were watching from the States and you have 220 at your fingertips, I would say get the VX6 if you're going to be in austere environments. It's a fantastic radio. I got it completely soaked, and it worked out well. But so essentially when power went out, I was still doing the 3-hour net. I didn't want to break out the generator until after the wind, the majority of the wind had kind of calmed down, which it didn't, but I ended up pulling out the generator. But before that, I was just hopping in my truck and doing the net through from the truck. So it was pretty it was all right. We did all right. So Bricker, that's a great question, and I will tell you. Okay. Why not have a mag loop for Typhoons? So, a lot of people aren't aware of this. The reason why Guam does so well in Typhoons, as far as structures, everything's concrete. Concrete roof, concrete walls, concrete floor. Everything is concrete. I don't think a mag loop would do too well inside of a concrete building. I don't have a mag loop to try, but I guess I could get a mag loop and try. It's definitely a good suggestion, and well worth looking into. Now, do you have a suggestion for a mag loop? I know, what was it? Alpha Antennas had who had those mag loops for sale at the last Hamfest. Does anybody remember? I know that there was one that was being pushed pretty hard, and I don't remember. It was Alpha Antennas. The absolute screen share. Portable antennas. No, I don't want to sign in. Magnetic loop antenna. I know that they have a small one and a large one. 6 to 20 meter. I thought for sure that there was a portable one. It was Alpha, Roger? How big is this, though? That's the question. 15 meter to 40 meter. Stealthy 6 to 20 meter magnetic loop antenna. Comes in a nice little bag. Oh, here we go. Look at this. VHF, UHF, and 15 to 40 meter MCOM loop mast. Oh, this is an add-on? Is this an add-on? Yeah, Jason. So the problem here is, and here, let me show you again. So this is my roof. It's just flat concrete, and that's like, look at this house in the background. Every house has a flat concrete roof. Walls are concrete. Floors are concrete. Hey, good morning, Eric. What did you say here? In Hawaii, we primarily use VHF, but had a 40 meter NVIS net between islands. So that's the general idea. Eric, is to restart the inner island net with NVIS. And we had been talking about it prior to the storm for months now on 7.095. So we had been talking about getting the inter-island net back online, but we hadn't really pushed it too much because we hadn't been in contact with anybody from the other islands. I'm sure they'll be biting at the bit to restart the inter-island net. And then we'll go that route. But a mag loop, you can work inside safely. So I'm not too concerned with the safety of the antenna breaker. I'm more concerned about it getting out. I don't think it would get out through the. Yeah, Eric. That's what I had figured. I haven't talked to him, and that's who I've been kind of keeping an eye on to see if he pops up on a cluster or anything like that. I know he is out there and he's very active, so that's who I've been waiting to see on the cluster. But be it as it may, I don't have my HF antennas up yet. It's just no. The style of the houses is because of the amount of typhoons that Guam sees and the intensity of the typhoons that they see. That's the reason why all structures out here are concrete to endure those typhoon type winds. He's in China. Oh, so he didn't. Okay. Thanks for the update, Eric. I appreciate it. I know a lot of people have been asking me if I have contact with them, and a few ships in the area as well. Oh, yeah. So Bricker. So here's the antenna, and I know you had missed it. Hold on, where am I? Here we go. Screen share. So the antenna, the antenna would have been fine if I guide it properly. This is my 2 meter X200 alpha. So this concrete base is 60 pounds, and then I put a 25-pound weight on it. But the wind was enough to blow it over. I mean, it's an 8.5 foot tall, 2 meter, 70 centimeter antenna. When it blew over is what broke the antenna. So I crawled up there mid-storm and ripped off the fiberglass so it wouldn't go flying. And that's the guts of the antenna. But there's the GP1 Comet with just this little base. I guess the wind load was just not enough to kick this one over. So it worked well. Not for the diamond antenna, but I've already got another one coming. Yeah. I really gotta fix that cutoff of the pop chat. Anyhow, yeah, so it doesn't do too much, Bob. Not that I've noticed. As far as affecting the RF, but maybe it's because it's stuck in concrete. I don't know, but I haven't really had too many issues with both HF or local traffic, it affecting it. Oddly enough, metal fences will affect my RF more than the rebar in the buildings, so it's kind of strange. So very interesting. A mag loop is a good idea, and I think I'll probably pick one up and give it a go. I mean, if nothing else, just go outside on my porch and underneath the overhang and set it up. It'd be a lot better than trying to set up a vertical or something with the post-typhoon winds, because we're still getting gusts of like 75 miles an hour. But I think that the alpha antenna is going to be something So I'm curious. This one, 6 to 20 meters, magnetic loop. It seems very small, but I'm more interested in this here. So this is the VHF UHF 15 to 40 meter MCOM loop mast plus inner and outer loop. It doesn't seem like this is the actual kit. I think the whole shebang. It just seems like an add-on to this one, I'm assuming. I haven't done any research on these, but very interesting. Yeah, it's something to definitely something to look at. Here we go. 100 watt portable VHF UHF HF mag loop, $3.99. 10 to 40. I'd rather get this one. Zero Mazzoni baby loop instead if I were to buy it again. Zero Mazzoni. Let's take a peek. What the hell is that? That's the antenna, Eric? Yeah, that exactly, Bricker. I need something that I can put up. Oh, it's not. It's not even available. I need something that I can put up during the storm, for sure. Here we go. Stealth loop, baby loop. Here's what Eric was talking about here. Online shop. Baby loop. Holy guacamole, that's expensive. So that's what we're looking at, huh? That's a stealth loop. I had one in my attic. Does this price look correct, Eric? 1674 euros. That's like $2,000 in freedom dollars, right? That's crazy. I mean, I don't know much about loops. I mean, I guess it looks pretty stout. Very spendy. I'd be more interested in this thing here. This thing looks even more stout. I mean, I could essentially bolt that to the concrete. That's hefty. Holy guacamole. You're making that chief money over there, Eric. That big chief money. Not just regular chief, big chief. This is pretty... I've never seen something like this before. That's crazy looking. But it looks like it could hold up in the weather for sure. How's the receive on these? Good? Jeez, I'm a crow. How do I translate this here? There we go. Complete purchase of loop antenna under shipping costs. Continuous coverage from 40 to 10 meters made of TIG welded aluminum constructed tubing, stainless steel hardware. It's good for 1K above 22 megahertz. It comes with an ATU. I put it on the platinum card. Had a lot of noise because it was in the attic. I used Chameleon RXL loop for receiving outside where there was no noise. Chameleon loop, huh? I think to get me into the loop game, I just don't see this one lasting outside in the weather. But Bricker, like you said, it's just something to get it outside and get on the air, right? Plus, this one will give you VHF, UHF. I think this is looking like it's going to be the one. so this is, you can change out the elements. So essentially this is, you're taking this, you get this whole shebang, and then you add the 6 to 20 meter stealth element, like here. So just to add the element to this, so it puts it at about $500. Not too bad. Something you can pull out of bag. So what do you think? Well, so I'm thinking the VHF, UHF, HF, because it's an all around. If I lose another roof antenna, so that's a good point, Bob. What the heck was that called? The what's that dipole I'm thinking of here? Beefy thing. Why can't I think of it right now? Buckmaster. So I was looking at these. The problem is the space in my yard. To get a full length, I would have to plop it on somebody's. Let me see here. Buckmaster. There we go. So I was looking at this 135 foot right here, 3,000 watt. And then you got one that's 300 watt. So same length, same bands, just one is 300 watt, one is 3,000. So for those who haven't seen a Buckmaster, this transformer here is humongous. It's like the size of a grapefruit. Just something to think about. What other questions you guys got? I know I'm running, kind of breaking into late. And Josh should be starting here in 30 minutes. I do, Bricker. I've got the... Here's what I got. Now, one thing I've noticed with this is it's excruciatingly inefficient. Does it work? Yeah, I've gotten plenty of DX on it, but it is excruciatingly. Here's the one I got with the not the micro, the mini. Yeah, the mini. His notification just went off, Bricker. So I throw this up on the roof, and then I've got the radials, the metal radial kit, and see, this is what I need right here. I need this loading coil so I can just run 40 when I put up my hex beam. So I run it with the mill whip system, and then here's the stinger, the rigid radials that I have. So I could, essentially I could run it up, because I put it up on the roof. So I can deploy it quick. It's just a matter of me getting up on the roof and putting it up there. I could put it in the yard. I just don't care to. Look at the alpha. The 60 to 80 is only... Bob, you're talking about the alpha dipole? Let's see. 82 feet, 34 feet, 67 feet, 40 feet. I don't know if I'm looking at the right thing, Bob. Let me see. Yeah, Bob, let me know if I'm looking at the right thing. I'm not too sure. Oh, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Let me know if I'm cutting in and out. I don't know what's going on out there. Alpha antenna website. Gotcha. Thank you. Alpha antenna, portable antennas. Alright, let me see here. Alpha antenna website. You got the end fed. So you're talking, look at the alpha, 60 to 80 is only 34 feet. Right here? $34-foot HF end fed antenna. So I've got several end feds. But nothing decent. So this is what I usually have, and it works fine, but again, one of those inefficient things. Very inefficient. Oh, here we go, I'm back. Just a short hiccup in the internet. So this is what I usually run. The only thing I don't like about it is it's heavy. And that's the only thing I find. And also, they want you to put the transformer up in the air versus having it down low and then running it up. And then you have this loading coil in the middle of it, so it kind of drags it down. So if you don't have something stout to hold it up, it'll bend a regular carbon fiber mast pretty good. And I found that the only way I like to deploy it is with that MFJ tripod. But again, it kind of defeats the purpose of it being portable. It's just too heavy. This thing's just too heavy. I've also got the Soda Beams random end fed wire. A lot of you guys are. It is, yeah, that's true, Bob. A lot of you guys are really into these the alpha, huh? I don't own anything alpha, but now you guys have got me curious. Portable antennas. And you're saying N1AQH, the J-poles, either junior or senior, work well? Gutter antenna. Very interesting. I guess I'm gonna have to. So if you were to suggest one alpha antenna right now, what would you suggest that I get to try out first? I guess would be the question. And you just throw it in the chat, and I will order it. I'm open to trying any antennas. I'd like to get away from verticals. I gotta now reassemble my hex beam and put it up on the roof. But now keep in mind, Guam, everything for Guam as far as HF is concerned is all DX. It's Guam, Ocean, Japan, China, Philippines, Saipan, Tinian, Rota. So if you were to, so I would need something that I can DX on. So if you were to suggest one alpha antenna, throw it in the chat and I will order it and give it a go. Found that Chameleon makes a good product, however, it's the efficiency on those antennas is not fantastic. And I'm losing a lot of power to tuning. Yeah, you get a lot of bands for what it is, but you're losing a lot of power, tuning it to get it to where it needs to be to actually use it. my chat stopped working again, per usual. I don't know why it does that. Feet at 6 feet, and elevate to 20 feet, 65 feet in total. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it here. Start shutting down. I got a lot to buy, restock on supplies, and get on some satellites. What do I got for satellites today? What's today, the 19th? No, don't want that. Let's see what I got to work with today. 19th. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Ricker. So, let's see what I'm working today. It is 2341. So I've got 651, 840. So all tonight, all this afternoon, I'll get some IO86 passes. All right, so yeah, let me call it, and we'll say 73 until next weekend. I think next weekend I'll be back to Friday evening, Saturday morning for us. It's just kind of playing, trying not to step on other people's stream times. Trying to work with everybody I'm very flexible because my stream is just for fun. So just stand by. I'll post out the next stream here, probably no later than Wednesday, and we'll catch you all next weekend. And if I don't talk to you before then, 73, and thanks for watching Rockets and Radios. '73.